Hi, I'm Ralph DeAmicis, one of the astrologers for the Planetary calendar, and this is one of our astro portraits. The subject this time is Robin Williams, and I have really put off doing the chart for this because I feel that his loss is just such a tragedy. Such a spectacular artist, a wonderful person, one of my neighbors, and born also in the year I'm born. He had a home here in Napa for many, many years, that you could see from the valley floor. He was born at July 21st, 1951, the year of the rabbit, year of the metal rabbit, at 1:34 p.m. in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was a Saturday. He was born with the sun at 28 degrees Cancer. The rising was 11 degrees Scorpio. And the moon is at 9 degrees Pisces. So a lot of water there because the sun, Vesta, Mars, Uranus, they're all in Cancer, water signs. The moon is also in water sign in Pisces, along with Ceres and Hygeia. And a Scorpio rising, a lot of water. And 28 degrees Cancer, you're in the part of the sky where it's not only tropical water, tropical Cancer, it's also sidereal Cancer. It's deep, deep water. There's deep waters in this personality, a tremendous amount of depth in his personality. He had Venus in Virgo, an earth sign, conjunct the south node, which is interesting, Partile, same degree, 10 degrees. So reincarnationally, that desire to be charming and to be of service to other people in a very introvert way, because that's called the fall position. That's the confidant position. This is someone who people felt they could confide in. Conjunct the south node, it kind of the position of the jester, you might say. The close confidant is the south node. And the north node is conjunct his moon in Pisces. So that ability, that moon in Pisces, that ability to express his imagination and his wonderings through his physical actions. And because, remember, Mars is the physical body, but the moon is about movement, that ability to make people feel. It's the north node. Ceres is there to be a shepherd, to be in front of an audience. This was part of what fed him emotionally. And that's in the fifth house, the house of creativity, right? The sun is in the ninth house. So the ninth house is really about the exploration of our knowledge, expanding our knowledge. It's also about generosity. It shows that he was a tremendously generous personality. he poured himself out through his creativity. This is a person of great delight. When you have the sun and the moon, in the fifth house and the ninth house, this is a creative, artistic personality. What's funny is that in the career area, he had Leo. There's no way you can say this person was not leonine in their career. He just roared upon the scene and commanded a great position for many years. He has Pluto and Mercury there. Mercury, once again, is the jester. In Leo, he was the jester. It's within 1 degree of the actual midheaven, 21 and 22 degrees, with Pluto there. So when you put Pluto close to a planet, it supercharges it. Remember, Pluto, it's actually a dual body. Pluto and Charon, they rotate around each other. It's like atomic power. Just, he's probably been seen more, and, we always think of Pluto as being related to atomic power, but it also relates to the computer, to the electron. More people have seen Robin Williams through electronic mediums, through, the power of the small, than they ever saw live. Even though he performed a great deal, more people have definitely seen him through YouTube and through television, through movies, electronics, than they ever saw him in person. The power of that's his midheaven, that ability to broadcast out to a large audience. You oftentimes see that with Pluto, that global reach. Now, he had Jupiter in the sixth house. Now, Jupiter is related to success. Okay? And there's a big, what's called a T-square here. Jupiter was opposite Neptune and Libra in the 12th house. And they both squared the Uranus-Mars conjunction in Cancer. Now that Mars-Uranus conjunction is very telling. Mars is the physical body. Mars in Cancer is a fall position. Why? It's the position opposite Capricorn. Capricorn is the exalted position. It means the best friend position. Mars in Cancer is the confidant position, the fall position. It's like Venus. He has Mars and Venus in these fall positions, these confidant positions. This person had a very deep internal life. When he was with people, he really communicated with people very closely. It's a very internalized thing. I oftentimes say that, in a theater, the position that represents the fall position is the actor's dresser, their makeup person and their dresser, the person behind the scenes who knows them the best, who keeps all their secrets, who sees that they're not the character that's on the stage, that they are very, very human. And he had a tremendous sense of human foibles, of human weakness. And that's where his humor came from. His humor came from understanding personalities, right? He had the moon in Pisces, which is a very intuitive position. Now, Venus was in Virgo, but so was Saturn in Virgo. And the moon, though, is a very, mysterious position, but the sun is in Cancer. And this is part of our Sun in Cancer series. I've talked about this in other videos, the fact that the sun in Cancer is a very powerful position. In many ways, it's as strong, I think, as the sun in Leo. But it's a responsive position. As compared to the sun in Leo, it's the leader. Gets out there in front and says, let's go this way. This is the way I think we should go. The moon in Cancer says, okay, we've seen this happen and this happen. This is how we should respond. I will lead now, but I'm leading in response to. In some ways, in modern politics, it's when a man senator would die in office, and they would say to his wife, you should run and take his position, or the governor appoints her. Why? Because she's been there the entire time as the helpmate, as the partner. And he knows, or she knows, that this woman, this spouse, this widow, knows the agenda, knows all the people, knows what has to be accomplished, and she will respond to the passing of her husband by taking action. That's the responsive ruling position. That's what you call the feminine ruler. That's what we call it the external responsive position. Sun in Cancer. Very strong position. If you look at our whole series of portraits of people with Sun in Cancer, Meryl Streep, Tom Hanks, Benedict Cumberbatch, but also George W. Bush, Julius Caesar. These are all Sun in Cancer's positions. It's a very strong position. So that's a real powerful position. It empowers the Mars. It empowers that Mars in fall position. And what's funny is it gives the Mars, his tremendous personal vulnerability, his willingness to talk about his own foibles. It allows him to express it externally because the Mars is willing to express externally. Well, since you asked me, let me tell you all about it. The Saturn in Virgo is not as strong. The Venus in Virgo is not as strong, but all that stuff in Cancer, very strong. And up in the 9th house, it's one of the reasons why he was able to travel so extensively. But the midheaven is in the 10th. But that 9th house is tremendously powerful, as is the 5th house. So 5th house, creativity. 9th house, expanding one's horizons. Scorpio rising, which empowers the Mars in Cancer. Now, that Mars conjunct Uranus really tells a story. Uranus is about oftentimes erratic behavior. It's very electrified. It's why you got him on a stage. Mars in Cancer, it just electrified. Zzz. Mars at 11 degrees. Uranus at 10 degrees. This is within 3 degrees of America's sun. 13 degrees. Cancer conjunct the star Sirius. Second brightest star in the sky after our sun. Right? Powerful. This is why he was our comedian. He was America's comedian. He was the epitome of America's comedian in many ways. He was the quintessential American. And you saw that when he was on stage. And it was highly electrified. Where this worked against him is that he had a descendant in Scorpio at 11 degrees. trining the Mars exactly, and within 1 degree of the Uranus, it tended to push him and push him and push him. So he would just push beyond his limit. He would keep responding. I mean, people would want more, and he would just keep responding until he ran through all of his resources, and then he would drink or he would use drugs, right? Because it's Scorpio, which can be self-destructive. It's Moon in Pisces, 9 degrees, within 1 degree of the North Node, 10 degrees, both of them trine the rising in Scorpio and the Mars and Uranus in the 9th house. The 9th house always wants to make things bigger. It's about expanding your horizons. I mean, if you have Mars someplace you want to make things bigger, put it in Jupiter's house. Put it in Jupiter's house. And then you had Jupiter in Aries in the 6th house. So there was the tendency to really push himself to work. Just push himself out there to just burn up his resources, burn up his protein, burn up the fats, burn up all those resources for the sake of putting himself out there because people wanted that. People, he is a responder. He responded to what people wanted. And he would run through all these resources, and it caused this, when people get in a situation where you're numbing the pain through alcohol, through drugs, it doesn't mean you've replaced the resources. All it means is you've just numbed the pain, and eventually the person plummets, and the body gets up into these weird cycles, these weird craving cycles, which are the causes of addiction. So it's funny, he has the Moon in Pisces and the Jupiter in Aries. Well, Jupiter in Aries, where he lived was Napa. That was one of his primary homes, and Napa's in Aries. It's founded in Aries. So Jupiter was a place in which he was very benefited, and he benefited as well. It's Pisces in that Jupiter is wine country. Pisces is wine. So his moon, he made his home in this place that's basically, among other things, a great tourist destination, but also a place of great creativity. One of the biggest producers of fine wine in the world, of the high-end wines in the world, the Moon in Pisces. So he felt very comfortable here. In fact, not that long before he passed away, he went into rehab. And he said he did his rehab in wine country because he wanted to keep his options open, So, but like I said, tremendously talented person, and a great loss. But on the other hand, when he was here, he was such a gift. So that's the portrait of Robin Williams. It's interesting how powerful. You have 3 different planets in fall. Venus. Oh, Mercury, I forgot to say that. Mercury in Leo is also in fall. It's opposite Aquarius, the rulership position. So you have 3 different planets in fall. And yet he was tremendously successful. This is why I say, just because a planet's in fall or a planet's in detriment does not mean it's weak. What it means is that's the particular role that it plays. And in a comedian and an artist, that vulnerability, that sensitivity, that tremendous inner life is a gift. That's part of their talent. Just because you have planets in fall, you have Moon in Scorpio, you have Venus in Virgo, you have Mercury in Leo, does not mean it's weak. It means it's playing a very specific role. And that's why it's called dignified. Each planet has 6 dignities. Those are 6 roles. We just need to find out what roles your planets play best. So, once again, that's Robin Williams' chart, a remarkable person. Make sure you come back and see us on Tuesdays when we do our astro portraits. Come back and see us on Fridays when we do our forecast for the coming week. You can find them at Planetary Calendar Astrology with Ralph and Lonnie on YouTube. And you can also find our books and calendars, of course, the planetary calendar, and all of these forecasts and portraits at planetarycalendar.com. Until next time, be well.